Hey, welcome to the Be Revolutionary Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Perrie. This is the podcast where we teach you how to revolutionize your business with inspirational stories and local talent. So today I have a very special guest, Jasmine Jasudavicius. Did I do it?
Yeah, that's good.
All
That's
right.
good. Yeah.
Good. Hey, thanks for coming on the show. We know, you're very busy training. You did 5 hours. What was it, yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy. I do my 45 minutes and I'm in and out of my gym in my garage. But then again, I'm not a professional anything by any means. So thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it. So I was looking up your stats, 7-in-1 career.
Yep.
And I want to know at the UFC level.
That's right. Yeah.
So walk me through, how did you get started in fighting?
So with he's now my coach and boyfriend, but originally he was just my boyfriend at the time. But he was coaching, and he went to Prince Edward Island to help former UFC fighter Jason Sago prepare for a camp. And we were hanging out. So then he was like, "Hey, you want to come to PI?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I love lobster, you know."
Yeah, why not?
Like, let's go. So we went down there, and obviously, you know, I had no idea of anything about martial arts, any of it. And so we went down there, and it's like we're in the gym morning, go home, take a nap, have a bite to eat, and then back in the gym. So that's kind of where I learned how training was as a martial artist. And I was like watching, I'm like very interested, but I was like, oh, this is neat, this is neat. But it was like sparring. I watched sparring one night, and I was like, oh, this is sick. Like, this looks so cool. So during practice, I'm like, yo, let me spar. Let me go in. Let me fight. And then they're like, no, you're not going from absolutely nothing to sparring.
Right.
And then so after practice, then Jason did some moving around with me, and I'm trying my hardest, trying to punch and kick him. No technique at all. Just all balls, no brains kind of shit. And then afterwards, he's like, you know, you have a little bit of natural ability. You start training, you could potentially make a run at this. So that's kind of how a little bit it got started. And then it was just Chris kind of showing me the ropes, bringing me into the Brock room, bringing me on the trips to the Brock Wrestling always does trips to Mexico and Cuba and stuff like that. And so I was fortunate to jump on all of those, and then it kind of just snowballed.
So this is relatively recently then? How long ago are we talking?
I was 26, so it'd be 6 or 7 years ago.
Wow.
I'm 33 now.
That's pretty impressive from, 6 or 7 years to where you kind of are now.
Yeah, I dove in head first.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I really.
So did you join? Were you on the Brock wrestling team?
No. I never did anything before. I played soccer recreationally.
Okay. So then how did you hook up with Brock then?
Through Chris.
Oh, okay.
Through
and then
Chris.
that's how you know Evan and Jesse McDonald.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because Chris is a coach there with Marty. And so normally, you're very new to wrestling, no experience at all. You're not allowed to just come in the Brock room, but, had the insider. Yeah,
that's amazing. And so, I mean, where's kind of, because in terms of styles of fighting, it's nothing that I can just pick up by watching. So what's kind of your style?
I would say I'm pretty well-rounded just because I started everything all at once. However, my wrestling is very strong because of obviously having Chris, as well as being exposed to the high-level girls in the Brock room. There's, world medalists, Olympians, all of that. So it's you sink or swim in that room. So I had to get good. Mm-hmm. So in comparison to MMA fighters, I feel like my wrestling shows very well.
Really?
Yeah.
And so can I just, Jesse and Evan are here. So have you ever wrestled Jesse?
Yes, I have. Yeah. She used to smash me all over the room. Luckily, I haven't been in the room for a while. We haven't wrestled in a while, but it's so awesome wrestling with her. Obviously, she's amazing. And
Fuck.
so I was so fortunate to be like on my way up and being able to get smashed by her.
Honestly, I think everybody's fortunate to be able to work with those two. I tell you, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have this type of space. I've learned so much from them on so many different levels. And who was it? I think Jesse. Somebody from our team was like, "Wow, Jesse's insane," because I think she just posted a photo of when she was 8 months pregnant or something.
Dude, she's got abs.
She abs to steal.
It's crazy.
Like, it's insane.
Yeah, no,
So,
she's an animal.
Yeah, absolutely. So you get introduced, you go to PEI. From that standpoint, where was the first official fight, or like the first experience, maybe finding something you didn't know, or for sport?
So after that, then what happened was, I think the next kind of big pivotal thing was going and actually seeing the UFC event. So the one that Jason was fighting on, Chris was cornering him, and then I just went as like a fan. And then one of my girlfriends was there with me, and we're enjoying the night. I'm like looking around, I'm like seeing the lights, watching the people walk out, and I was like, this is awesome. Like, I can't believe this is unbelievable. I turned to my friend, I'm like, I think I'm gonna make a run at this. And we're having a couple pops at the time, and she's like, oh, you get in the UFC, I'll get your face tattooed on my ass. And so, yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so now, like, she's accepted that she's got to get
the tattoo.
She's got to get the tattoo, or the UFC's, like, sending a crew down to have it all documented.
Really?
And everything.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
So now we're just, like, discussing, how big it's going to be, if it's going to be a realistic one, if it's going to be, like, a cartoon character, what we're going to do.
That's hilarious. So then, obviously, like, your team has a bunch of UFC experience already then.
I'm the first one from my team into the UFC, but it's like my coach, he's cornered multiple fighters in the UFC, like Mitch Gagnon, when he was still competing. Then he was coming down and like stayed at our house and all that. But I'm the first one, like, kind of like groomed through Niagara Top Team. Yeah.
Okay. And then on the show, we kind of like to talk about. It's really cool that we're having somebody in the sports and entertainment industry here, because it really takes a lot. I mean, yeah, you've done it in 6-7 years, but like, we like to talk about how people grow their business, and essentially this is exactly what it is. It's a business. So do you have any like routines? Walk me through your workouts, maybe your daily routine, maybe your diet. Yeah, just something that helps us get a better idea of just how hard it is.
Yeah, no, I got a lot of routine. It's funny because everyone looks at like a pro athlete like, oh, that looks like such a sick life. No, it really isn't. It's like, I wake up in the morning, my body's sore, I don't feel like going to training, I probably didn't sleep enough the night before, you know what I mean? I'm exhausted, just trying to get some coffee in me so I can open my eyes. And, you go into practice, a good warm-up, and then you're into the swing of things. And then, I'm in practice in the morning, usually like 3 hours in the morning. Sometimes more if I do a session before our pro session or whatever, but it kind of changes a little bit. But then I go home, I try to get some life stuff done for a couple hours. I got like taxes and stuff I always let slide, but that's all part of it. Try to get that done, get some lunch in me, obviously eating healthy, so can't just like pick up McDonald's or pick up some food. It's like I have to be like cooking, meal prep helps and all that, but make some lunch, try to rest for 20 minutes. If I can get a lay down, I'll try to do that, and then back in the gym for the evening session. when I can, I'll help with the kids' classes because I love helping with them. Like just seeing them, the kids like grow and just I don't know. It's so they're so cute. I love it.
You don't have any kids, do you?
Sorry.
You don't have any kids?
Well, Chris has a daughter, so pretty much I have a kid.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I was just gonna say because I've got 3 kids under 5, and yeah, they're cute, but not something that if I was training to become a professional fighter, that I'd want to be spending too much time with. They're crazy. Other than them punching me in the face, I guess that helps train, and then their fingers get under your eyelids. But so the diet, what is important for a fighter? Because it varies different between if you're a hockey player, there's different types of foods that you want to eat because of you're more you're pushing off fast and stuff like that, where for somebody like you need to be able to last potentially 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes in a fight, right?
Yeah.
So what's the go-to diet?
My diet, I mean, pretty much like the way I see it, anything that grows is good. If animal, I eat meat. I'm not against eating meat or anything like that. Vegetables, and then for like carbs, of course I eat bread and pasta and everything, but I prefer potato or rice, or I like better. I just think my body runs better on that kind of, I think everyone's kind of individual, but I eat a ton of fish and seafood, but I'm pretty balanced with fat, carbs, and protein. I'm pretty balanced with it. I think honestly, beans are a very good source. I always feel a lot of energy of good beans. Beans are good legumes, I guess that is. Yeah. But I think keeping a pretty basic diet, making sure you're getting protein, fat, carbs.
Yeah. Is there any any type of measurements that you need to stick to?
If I'm cutting weight, then I'll track more. In the past, then I've tracked my calories a lot more than I do now, and I feel like now I still mentally track them. Before I would actually track them, and then I've developed that skill. Right. So now I'm able to just kind of mentally do it. So I'm in camp when I have to diet down, because I don't walk around at 125 pounds, but I fight at 125 pounds. So I have to diet down a little bit, and then fight week I'll manipulate my my carb intake, my salt intake, and my water. Yeah. So I kind of a little bit of science behind that, but I'll drop that weight, weigh in, and then I'm rehydrating and fueling back up for fight night.
Because I've always wondered, I see behind the scenes, or you see documentaries about fighters and stuff, and they say that the most difficult part is that week. So how do you prepare for something like that?
It's all in the preparation. I think if you kind of try to figure it out on fight week, that's when you're going to get in trouble. Right. I know going into fight week, I want to be at a certain weight. I want to have my meals planned. It's all in the preparation to make that week go as smooth as possible, because not only are you dealing with everything physically, but mentally, I'm going into a fight, especially my UFC debut. You're going into it, so everything that I can kind of do prior just makes fight week so much easier. Personally, that's what works for me. I mean, I'm sure everyone's different. They can go on a whim, but I find that for me, planning everything and knowing what I'm going to be doing. Right.
Yeah. Well, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
That's right.
That's what they say. I've probably said that on every single podcast in the world. So here's one question that I have, and maybe you kind of already answered it, but so if you're putting in all that work and you don't necessarily have, because I've seen like I said, some documentaries, some fighters aren't even drinking water and all that other stuff. They're just trying to cut. I've always wondered, how do you go from, I wouldn't say you're completely dehydrated or whatever, but and then go into this. You've got to have so much energy in the octagon. I don't know.
So what
Did you
happened?
get that
like,
back in that 24 hours?
Yeah, it's funny because you suck everything out of your body. You get on that scale. As soon as you step off that scale, you're drinking all your recovery drinks and then putting in back in the food slowly, and then it's usually more than 24 hours before fight night. From when you weigh in to actual fight night, it's about 24 hours, maybe a little bit more. So you're already getting in a bunch of meals, and it's funny because you refuel a lot quicker than you can suck it off.
Interesting. Well, I guess they obviously would have to have some sort of, or else they'd just have two tired fighters going at each other, right? So how do you prepare? So what's the big difference, and if any, was there a difference between, preparing for your UFC debut as opposed to the previous fights that you've been in?
No, not very much different. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yep.
And I think that we were doing everything right for all of the other camps, and of course you learn little things, little tips and tricks kind of thing. But overall, it's kind of the same process, and and that's kind of what's in the comfort of it. It's like, oh, I've been there, I know I'm going to feel like shit this practice, whatever, no big deal. And then you end up having a good practice because you've let go that you're going to feel like shit. So.
And then, so your prep is the same, you're going in there. What about the mentality work? I mean, from a mindset standpoint, kind of the same thing. You're just treating it like any other fight.
Yeah, pretty much. Of course, there is more
there's
nerves.
Millions of people watching you.
Yeah, exactly. No, of course, there is nerves. But what I've found is that I've just kind of accepted that fight week or camp is going to be a roller coaster. So I'm not getting too high on the highs. I'm not getting too low on the lows. I know everyone says that, but it's like, just rolling with it. Just before I used to almost try to fight against it, I'm sad right now. I gotta bring myself up. Now I'm just like, okay, whatever. I'm sad. I feel beat up. Let's just get through it. Let's just instead of trying to go from -5 to +5, I'm just trying to get to 0.
Right. Keep it neutral.
Yeah. And so I found that helps me, not trying so hard, just okay, whatever, bad practice.
Right. And then what about, walking through the doors?
So the most nerve-wracking part, I think, of everything is standing there just before you're going to walk out.
Yeah.
Feels like it's...
You can hear everybody. And
you can hear everything, and you can see always through the crack of the curtain. It's close that curtain, man. I wish I can't see it. But it's when you're standing there, you're probably only there for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, but it feels like it's
half an hour,
20 minutes. And it's you just kind of keep bouncing around because you want to stay warm, but then you're getting in your head oh, am I getting too warm and everything? Should I just
tiring myself
should
out?
I chill? And I feel like that's the most nerve-wracking part, and it's just let's go kind of thing. And then it's you go through the curtains, you see the crowd, and it's it's hype as hell. I love fighting with the crowd so much more than no crowd.
Right.
You feel all the energy. Everyone's woo, and I'm so for the debut, I'm walking out and I'm high five, let's go. I'm getting all hype, and then I realize again, oh shit, I'm about to go fight. I gotta take this shit serious. I'm loving this shit too much, and then so I'm and then go and do that. They check, tape up your face or grease up your face, check everything. And then it's once you walk in the cage, then it's all I'm thinking is ring that bell, let's go, ring that bell. I'm not even listening to Bruce Buffer. I'm just going through the motions when he's saying my name and everything. I know I gotta the camera's on, so I gotta do a little bit of stuff, but all I'm thinking is ring bring that motherfucker back.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I don't know, man. That's such a crazy experience. It's. I used to be in the music industry too, and like the most we played for was like 5,000 people, and which was a lot. And you're coming out on stage and it's the same thing because you're opening for this big band, and you're behind the curtain, you're ready to walk out, and you're like, oh my god. This is so nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
And I was like the lead singer too, so like everybody's like watching you and just waiting for you to, I don't know, throw up on stage or something. 'Cause it's this nervous little skinny white kid.
Yeah.
So I can understand. So I mean, like, again, I keep bringing it back to hockey because it's kind of what I know, but do you watch the fighter that you're going to be going up against? Do you study the moves? Do you study what they're good at? Or
So it's like I'll get a matchup and then I'll watch them. I'll watch their most recent fight. Maybe I'll watch their 2 fight. I'll watch a little bit, enough that I get enough information. But at the same time, I don't really care about them.
Yeah.
It's like I'm in there to work my stuff, to do the things that I've trained. I don't want to be thinking about them when I'm in the fight. So it's like, why am I going to put all this kind of mental energy into that? I mean, everyone thinks of it different. Some people really like to study their opponent, but for me personally, it's like, whatever. I feel like I have amazing training partners, and they will have given me the looks in camp that this girl is gonna do.
Yeah.
So, like, why even give? What if she doesn't do it? Then I just spent all this time thinking
worrying about it,
like,
and trying to calculate something.
Yeah.
I
So
understand.
I personally don't. I'll watch it. I'll watch enough to know, like, oh, okay, she's got a nasty blah blah blah, whatever.
Yeah.
But other than that, no, I don't do it. I leave it up to my coach. I trust my coaches 100%. So they're the ones that watch her and get the reads off things that they think, and then they'll coach me in camp to kind of be aware of it without even noticing I'm aware of it.
Right. The coach is like yelling stuff at you, like in the middle of the fight. Is that not distracting? Like I keep on hearing it. Like, get up. So I never know like, is that actual directions to the fighter, or do the fighter just say,
No,
screw it, I'll do my own thing?
There is sometimes where you'll be in a situation, your coach will be calling for something, but it's like maybe they don't see the angle, or they can't see that your arm's trapped or something like that. But no, the coaches in the corner, I trust my coaches more seeing things than I'll trust myself especially in practice. So. That's when you kind of build the dialogue with the coaches. They'll be yelling stuff out during practice, and during practice 100% of the time I always listen to them because 99% of the time it works. You know what I mean? But of course there is a little bit of feel to everything, and so in a fight I'm gonna trust me, but 99% of the time I listen to my coaches because they know better than me. That's why they're my coach. That's why I trust them with everything. And I think that's why I'm successful, because I know that I don't have all the answers.
That's a really good answer to that question, because in real estate, in any business, we have a coach as well. And it's amazing because we spend thousands of dollars on these coaches, and then everybody asks me on my team, they're like, well, what's the value of that? Why do you go in every week and you talk to your coach and you're scared and you don't want to because your coach is going to be like, okay, where are the numbers? What are you doing? What did you do to improve that? I don't know. I don't know. Like I screwed up this week. I'm sorry. But you're like, why do you run this business, but you're hiring and spending a lot of money on somebody to tell you what to do? It's like kind of like you start your own business to not
have someone tell you what to do. Yeah.
Exactly. So but I feel the exact same way as you. It's all about trusting your coach, and the fact that they get a bird's eye view of what's really going on. It's the same thing in our business as well.
Exactly. They've put in the work. They've made the mistakes so that I don't have to make the mistakes.
Yes.
And it's like they can tell me beforehand, do this. Oh, why? Just trust me. Do it. And then I do it, and then it'll be like a year later. I'll be like, so that's why. Yeah. So it's like now I just trust them.
Yeah. And Marianne, if you're watching, I understand why you beat me up. Okay. So obviously, you know, moving from, you know, an amateur fighting league up into, you know, pro and then into the UFC, obviously there's a big difference in what's expected. So is there anything maybe like to do with the contracts that were a little surprise to you, or is there something that, you know, they expected that, you know, maybe you didn't?
Yeah, so going from the regional scene to the UFC, it's crazy the difference.
Yeah.
It's wild. It's wild. It's like night and day difference. So that's why that Contender Series fight that I had, that was really, you would think your UFC debut, it's like the most important fight of your life. But really, that Contender Series fight was the most important fight of my life.
Right.
Because I win that and I get a contract, I'm in the UFC. I lose that, or I don't get or I win and don't get a contract, then I'm back on the regional scene.
Right.
On the regional scene, you're not making good money. You don't really have availability for sponsors.
Right.
You're like you get a lot of kind of like pressure from family and friends and stuff, like, what are you doing? You're fighting, like, come on, kind of thing. You know, it's like, grow up, get a job that's gonna have a pension or what, you know, that kind of old school thinking and all that shit. But then in the UFC, it's like you have a contract with the UFC. So you have, on my contract, I have a 4-fight deal.
That's what I was going to ask. So you got multiple fights.
Yeah, so I have a four fight contract deal, and then your pay gets increased every fight. So you get paid a show money and a win money. So we'll say your show money is $100, and then if you win the fight, then you get an additional $100.
Yep.
Whereas you both show up and you'll both get your show money, but then the person that loses, that's all they get. So it's doubled, so it's quite a bit different. Like, you know, getting $20,000 compared to $40,000.
Right.
That's a huge difference.
Absolutely.
So it's different. Like, it, you know, you obviously want to win because you're getting double the money in addition to sponsorship, all that. So it's like you don't make that much money from the actual fight until you're fighting for a title or something like that. Yeah. You're not really making you're making your money off sponsorship.
And so that's what I was going to ask. Is have the doors open for you in terms of sponsorships yet? Or?
Yeah. So, you know, that it's crazy as it is, that little blue check mark on Instagram.
Yeah.
That makes a huge difference.
Yeah. I know. I've been working on mine forever.
So it's like, it's nuts how that's a thing, but yeah, you live off sponsors. So that's honestly why I'm the most thankful for my sponsors that were there for me when I wasn't in the USA. You know, now everyone's like kind of trying to get on the hype train, but absolutely, I've had this one sponsor that he wanted to remain like anonymous and everything. He never had me put his logo on any of my outfits or anything like that. He just wanted to help out. And that's like, you know, literally my best sponsor, because he was there when I wasn't making any money at all. And so I really wouldn't have been able to do it without him and without the sponsors for, like, in fight camp. You know, you gotta eat the best food. You gotta eat fish. It's like, you know, on a regular salary, I can't afford to eat fish 3 times a week. You know what I mean? Absolutely. But in fight camp, I want to keep my body healthy. Of course. I gotta buy salmon 3 times a week. Breaking the bank with that. You know what I mean? Absolutely. And so so now it's easier to, now that I have like the UFC behind my name, then now it's a lot easier to get sponsorships and to be able to work on that.
There's more value to somebody's investment.
Exactly. Yeah. They're not gonna put their money into somebody that's fighting in a show, like, you know, in Niagara Falls or something, you know, like, it's not the same. Risk versus reward, it doesn't make sense. So. I agree. But, you know, coming from your anonymous sponsor, I mean, I do the same thing. I mean, I'm not anonymous, but I don't ask for my logo on anything. But I sponsor 2 junior A players Yeah.
for hockey. And it's like one guy literally spent all his summer working his butt off. And, there's an instance, he couldn't, even though he was working, he couldn't make enough amount of money to play.
Exactly.
Because now in hockey is a pay to play. Right.
Yeah.
And it's kind of all the investment that it takes for you to even get to the UFC. You can essentially call that pay to play too, in a way, right?
Exactly.
So it really helps when you have somebody like that behind you. So then I didn't know that you had 4 fights, so that's really cool. So what happens if you lose? Still get those 4 fights.
You still get the 4 fights. It's just your matchup will be different.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So since you've won, and I guess anything could change, but does that put you in a better position, obviously, to potentially get on a better card or time slot or?
Yeah. If you show well, then the UFC it's a business. So you show well, they put you on more hype cards. You grow through the rankings quicker. I go out there, I get a crazy knockout. I could jump all the way up and face a girl, whereas I get a kind of split decision. I'm not jumping up the ranking. I'm just going, a little bit up. So
what about so I guess how important is the off what am I trying to say here? Like I'm usually trying to say off ice, but like on social media or PR, like how important is that? I'm sure they probably, I don't know if they expect you to do some, or is that completely on the fighters to make their own decisions if they want to pump up their social media or
a little bit of A, little bit of B. So during fight week, there's tons of media and there's media obligations and all that. And during fight camp, you'll have a bit of that kind of stuff. But when you're out of camp, it's kind of more on you. And so that's one thing that I do have to be better at is social media, because I'm not the best at it. But it's important to kind of keep your name in people's mouths,
right?
Because then it's you'll get better fights. You'll get there's more opportunity. So it's important to be active on social media and to kind of portray yourself, show your personality, so people can develop a relationship with you, even though it's only over social media, but it's still, there's an emotion attached to it.
I agree. And it's honestly, again, same thing in real estate, where I've only been in the business 5 years, and I started with 1,000 followers. And now I got 35 or 33 or something. And what does that mean? It means that when I have other agents who are looking to send clients out to Niagara, they look me up on social media and be like, okay, this guy's really good. He sells some houses for sure. He's got good content. I want to send my business to him. So I'd imagine it'd be the same thing, right?
Exactly. And if I want to get good sponsors, then I have to obviously do well on social media, because that's important. They're advertising through me. So
exactly. They don't want to have posts with one of their products or logos or something with you, and they get 10 likes or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's really cool. I mean, do you have any plans? What's next? I mean, obviously you're going to keep training for your 4 fights, but I mean, do you have anything coming up or anything that you're excited about, an event?
Nothing's booked yet. We're just kind of waiting it out, and there's always opportunities for short notice. So nothing's booked yet. We'll probably end up doing a full camp. I'll probably fight maybe April or May or something like that.
Are you allowed to fight in between? So if you have a UFC contract and they haven't given you a date yet or anything, but can you still set up what did you call a regional fight or something?
No. I have to fight
to
for the UFC. Yeah,
right.
It's
that makes sense.
Yeah, it's they don't want me going into a fight, break my arm, and then I can't complete the contract, right?
Right. Like somebody from the UFC that broke their leg. Anyways, so I want to get Lucas on, and how do you guys know each other?
Man, Lucas Body, 10-0, 10 knockouts.
Yeah,
he's a man. No, I'm working with him, and it's so funny because he'll come with me to another gym to do sparring or something like that, and then the coach will be like, "Oh, hello, coach." He's like, well, I'm not really coach. I'm a fighter. I'm just only her coach. That he only will work with me, which is so sick for me because he knows my game so well, and there's so much invested interest for him.
Right.
And honestly, I love working with him so much. He's just like obviously a wealth of knowledge and like eager to work with me, and it's the feeling is mutual. Obviously, every time that we work together, I feel like I get so much out of it, and he's just like a good person, you know. He ended up coming to Anaheim for Fight Week for me.
I think I saw some behind the scene Instagram stories.
It was awesome. We got him into so sometimes the UFC will block off the hotel, and so only fighters are there, but luckily regular people can book in the hotel. So during the whole fight week, I was able to do pads with him and like work with him, and so it made my fight week a lot better that he was able to come there, and then during like fight night, I could literally like see him from the cage and I could hear him, and it was amazing. I'm so fortunate to have him working with me.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny because like when I told you off camera when I first met him at LA Fitness, it's not like we'd hang out, but every time I see him, it was the same. Like he was always a nice guy, asking me how I was doing. And you know, we've always kept in contact over the years. It's not like many people like keep in contact that I sell a gym membership to, you know, for 10 years later, but it's really cool. So, I mean, like he's a boxer, right? So is that kind of what you're trying, maybe not trying to learn, but you're trying to be multifaceted, right? And sharpen it up.
Yeah.
It's because I guess everybody's different, but I mean, like the UFC, in your experience, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's like again pretty lots of variety. But are people trying to take boxing a little bit more now in MMA? I don't know. Like I really don't.
I think, you know, each fighter is kind of individual. Some people will be a lot stronger in boxing. Some people will not be as strong, and it's kind of where you decide on where your focus is gonna be. For me personally, I feel like we really whoever's the best in that particular field, I try to work with them because I can mix it on my own. So being able to have the opportunity to work with Lucas, or for example, when I was wrestling with Brock, it's like to work with these high level athletes that know their particular discipline inside and out. It's like, you know, if 10% of that can rub off on me, you know, that's huge. So I think, you know, it's important to mix it, but it's also important to train the individual sports as well.
I agree. And I think kind of where I was going is like, you know, just, I don't know if there's any particular rules in the UFC that, you know, for boxing, I don't know. Some people say that stand-up fighting is a little more entertaining. Like, I don't know.
I mean, I think the
like, there's no like behind the thing, like, you know, WWE saying like, you know, hey, you gotta get at least 5 cracks in or something like that. No, right?
There's no behind the scenes stuff like that. However, you know, you get a crazy nut. The fans like watching boxing usually more, striking usually more. I feel like Khabib kind of changed that a little bit because he was so dominant in the Makachev. He's like, you know, kind of like showing off what grappling can be. It's not so boring, just hold them down anymore. It is evolving. But yeah, it's like you see a crazy knockout, the person's getting hit, you know, one of those. Like that's hype as hell.
Yeah.
So there is obviously that, but yeah, and it seems like where you fight, it's like the judges and the fans and everything. They appreciate different things, kind of the different areas that you are too.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. So what about? Was there anything special that you did after the fight? No, there's no like 100 crispy, no like 100 Krispy Kreme donuts, like nothing.
Oh no, I definitely I call it the degenerate week.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's like I eat like shit and
Yeah.
I'm drinking, like, get up, throw some Baileys in my coffee,
Love
and
it.
have a couple drinks.
Yeah.
But that being said, I'm going to practice. I mean, maybe I'm a little half in the bag,
Yeah.
but I'm still at practice.
Right.
I don't skimp out on that. Maybe I'm a little bit more lax during practice.
Cut it after 4.5 hours. That's supposed to fine.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I definitely enjoy myself after eat the treats and everything I couldn't eat during camp. I definitely do. But you get sick of it pretty quick, and then it's right back to normal, back to the mundane, boring life.
Yeah. No, I mean, because I know, like, since August or so, I went from like 2,300 calories and 170 grams of protein to now 1,800 calories and 203 grams of protein. And, I've been eating very well. And, at the end of the day, if I have some leftover protein or leftover calories, I'll have like some Maltesers or something. But I find like, if I do one of those cheat days, it's like, and I have carbs or chips or something, it's like my stomach is killing me.
Yeah, it's
so
like your body knows what it feels like to feel good. And
Yeah,
like,
I don't want
it's
to
like
feel
you
bad
can
anymore.
feel the inflammation. You're all like tight and like swollen and stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess if you have a couple hot dogs or pizza after a few beers, then you really don't notice it that much until the morning.
Yeah,
But-
gotta drink through it.
Yeah. So, Jad, thank you very much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. It's so cool to have somebody local who's just absolutely killing it. So is there anything maybe that you want to end off with, anything to any of the future fighters out there, or what you're up to next, anything, where to find you?
Yeah, come over to Niagara Top Team. We got the best gym in the world, best coaches, best training partners, and follow me on social media, Jasmine Jasudavicius, and thanks so much for having me. This was sick.
All right. Thank you so much. See you later, guys, and thanks for tuning in.